Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we have a manly knife on the table in front of us. I'm not sure if it's the most manly knife. I'd love to hear in the comments down below what you think that knife might be. Also, I should say there's a trigger warning for this video because I'm going to say manly a lot of times. And if that really gets to you, then hey, I don't know, get a box of Kleenexes before you start watching. Also, I'm going to show this knife in use doing some manly stuff. So if that's going to trigger you, just be warned right from the start. As I said, I have taken a look at a number of knives manufactured by Manly Knives, and all of them have been very good. And I have to say that whether it's the Comrade, the Peak, or this guy, you know, the Patriot, which is what we're looking at, the manufacturing, the blade grinds, the quality has been there. It's really, really good. And so overall, I can definitely say I'm a fan of Manly Knives. And I will put a link in the description box down below. Manly did send this to me for review, and they sent me the D2 version. So keep in mind there is a CPM 154 version available as well. All right, now let's go ahead and carry on with the rest of our discussion. We've got the trigger warning out of the way. I should put you know, there might be some hashtag toxic masculinity here as well. So you know, all of the snowflakes, you know, boy, my goodness, you better just be careful. Let's go ahead with size and weight. And first, let me say this. The thing that stands out to me about this knife is its versatility. This knife can do a whole lot of things, even, you know, potentially offend somebody just by its name alone. But in terms of actual performance, you know, the cutting on this is really, really nice. And the size and the blade thickness and the grind and, you know, everything is just really, really well balanced. And so this is going to be kind of a weird discussion because I feel like this knife really can function well in a number of different roles. I think this could be a great EDC fixed blade. I think it can be a great outdoor use knife. I think it can be a great bushcrafting knife. This really is sort of a jack of all trades. And in fact, it does all of them well. So you can't even say that master of none part at the end. So size and weight, let's get that out of the way. And I think and the reason I said all that first is because this is a really nice size for all kinds of things. It's 8 3/16 overall, 3 11/16 on the blade, 4 9/16 on the handle. Tons of real estate here for a hand that's even quite a bit bigger than mine. You can see you'd have lots of room. This carries really, really well. The knife itself only weighs 4.5 ounces. Even when you add the sheath, it only goes up to about 6 ounces. And so, you know, if you're ultralight backpacking or climbing or just going on a day hike, right, or if you're just wearing this around town, it just works for everything you can think of, okay? Especially, by the way, let me say, as an outdoor knife, the qualifier I have to put on this is if you sort of approach outdoor use the way I do, which is, you know, I don't carry a knife and expect it to chop down trees and baton firewood and then skin an animal and then, you know, cut that animal into steaks for my fire. I'm going to carry a specific tool. You know, generally speaking, if I was going on an overnight or something like that, I might take a knife like this, and then I would also have a hatchet and a folding saw along with me. So I've got some other tools to do some of those larger tasks. And so in this role where, you know, you're maybe, you know, processing down some firewood or, you know, maybe cutting up food around camp or whatever, fantastic, fantastic knife. All right, so the first reason it's so good is the blade itself. You can see this full flat grind. Now the stock is a little thick here, probably, you know, a little over 1/8 of an inch, not a whole lot over, but certainly a little bit. Really, really sharp spine there, which does, if you've seen, and I'll roll in some footage later, which does strike strike a ferro rod really, really nicely. Now the other thing is the grind here is so well done that even though this is thicker blade stock, this can really, really slice well. So I've used this around the kitchen, cutting up some apples and stuff like that. Now D2 is not a great knife if you're going to expose it to, it's not a great steel if it's going to be exposed to acidic stuff, but I've had really good performance out of this. So I can't, you know, I just clean it up a little after I'm done using it and I don't have any problems whatsoever. So yeah, the blade here is fantastic. It cuts really, really well. Moving down to the handle here, we've got full tank construction, really nice contoured G10 here. Feels fantastic in the hand. The jimping on the spine and right here under the at this bit of a choil that they've created is really, really nice. It just locks your hand in, whether you're wearing gloves or bare hands. It just works really well. The spine also, I mean, the blade also carries its thickness out. So if you want to kind of choke up on this and get up here for doing some carving or something, again, it works really, really well. So ergonomics and handle construction, fantastic. All right. Now, I will complain a little bit. I'm first going to compliment the sheath because it's nice and slim. The retention is great. They do have a big hole down here, presumably, you know, so you could set this up to use as a neck knife, which is not something I would want to do. But the attachment point here, the clip, if you will, it's not really a clip, is limited, right? You're pretty much going to carry this with a belt or not at all. And I really don't like that. I'm going to have to go on a little bit of a rant here. So bear with me. We will come back to discuss this knife in more detail. But let's grab the... I won't get this out for comparison yet, but I do want to show you this on the Idaho Hunter, the Tops Idaho Hunter. This clip is how all knife clips should be made. You can take it on and off your belt. You can clip it over a belt loop or onto the back of a pack or anything you want. You can take it on and off quickly and easily. Another good option is this clip that Rake Knives and Real Steel are using that is repositionable. These are fantastic, fantastic options for attaching the knife to yourself or to your pack or something else. All right. And I don't know why this is so difficult, but very few companies are able to get this right at all. And it's like, literally attach a bent piece of metal to your knife and you're done. Don't do anything else, okay? Don't leave me without a clip at all. Don't give me this bent over piece of Kydex that won't hold on to anything. Don't give me a closed clip that requires me to take my belt on and off every time I want to remove my knife. Just put a bent over piece of metal on there that has good retention, so nice and springy, and which has a little bit of a hook on the bottom to hold on to whatever I put it on. And that's all that's required to make a really, really good clip. Okay, and I have to say, as someone who enjoys carrying fixed blades and uses fixed blades a fair bit, the weakest point that I've come across, and this is true, you know, Guardian, the Guardian knives have really poor sheaths and attachment methods. Bark River knives have really poor sheaths and attachment. They don't give you any options. They don't give you any versatility. They don't give you good retention. Anyway, so that's my little rant for the day. I actually may break that out and make a whole video just talking about knife clips and why so many of them seem to suck and why it's not that difficult, but companies just cannot get it right. And of course, this one does better than many, okay? This is pretty slim. It has some versatility, although these holes don't match up with this anywhere, okay? It's like these were made in different places and just put together without measuring or thinking through that portion of it at all. So I do have that complaint. But beyond all of that, and I have, by the way, carried this a number of times just by taking the clip off completely and just dropping it in a pocket. It does work really well in that configuration. So the sheath itself is fantastic. The attachment method is okay, only it requires you to wear a belt, and I rarely do that. So that's a little bit of annoyance to me. But even so, when I have carried this, I have just worn a belt with it. And with a belt, it does carry well. It's slim, and it does allow you a little bit of movement, but it's kind of annoying. Okay, so there you go. Let's grab the knife back out here. We kind of covered... I guess we've covered pretty well all the things we want to cover and really had only one little hiccup, and that is the attachment point. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of use. I've got some footage to roll in. I really want to put this through its paces and really demonstrate that, you know, given really adverse situations, you can do some hardcore, heavy-duty stuff as the name manly implies. All right, so I've got a cutting board out here to protect my reviewing table a little bit, and I want to do some cutting demonstrations and really show all that this thing can do with some really difficult materials. So let's start off with this tactical packing stuff here, and you can see that this knife will cut right through those plastic bubbles and just make short work out of that. So, you know, if someone's wearing body armor or something like that, I'm sure this knife would penetrate no problem. Not only that, but we do have, it's elephant season in Canada, and if you've ever wanted to skin the most difficult and manly of all animals, skinning an elephant is going to be about the toughest thing that you can do. So, you know, we can just pop the gut cavity open there, and I mean, you could have this elephant cleaned and ready for eating in 30 seconds if you needed to. And, you know, elephant skin is really tough, and this knife just slides right through it, you know, right through the bones and right through the joints as if they aren't even there. So that is one tough, manly knife, absolutely ready for anything. If this was an infomercial, I would cut a brick with this, and I happen to have a brick right here. It's a brick of styrofoam, but nonetheless, I mean, a knife that can cut a brick is pretty stinking impressive, and this can cut this brick like you would not believe. Just goes right through it as if it was a hot knife going through butter, even though it's just a cold knife going through styrofoam. What else have we got here? Yeah, look at this. So I have this puffball here, which if you're, you know, into crafting, you may need to cut up for some reason, or perhaps, you know, if you're trying to restuff a recently impaled elephant, you may need some extra stuffing for that. Again, really, really good. What else have I got here that I can show you some cutting tasks with? Okay, yeah, look at this. Can this do woodworking? I mean, look at that. I can nearly, well, okay, this piece of wood won't stay together very well, but I can baton. Let me show you how effective this is for batoning. So I don't have really enough space here, so maybe we'll have to do it this way. And look at that. I mean, splits that piece of high quality hardwood right in half. Let's see. Oh, what about cutting string? This will absolutely cut string. It'll even cut multiple layers of string. And so I don't know if you were in a survival situation and you needed to cut up some line to, I don't know, make a shelter or something. I mean, you're good to go with this. This is really a highly versatile, very tough and durable cutting tool that absolutely performs. And if at the end of it all, it turns out you were just in an office and you actually weren't in an outdoor survival situation, you can even go ahead and cut up an apple. By the way, notice that this actually slices apples, right? That grind is so well done and just nicely balanced. I've got to give some credit to Manly for doing that. And guys, look, although, you know, I'm kind of being a little bit tongue-in-cheek here and poking some fun at the name Manly, well, look, this blade really does perform. The D2 has been sharp as can be, and I will roll in a couple of minutes of footage here where I actually did do some feather sticking, I did do some light batoning with this, and I did actually strike a ferro rod with it, and it did all of those things extremely well, despite the fact that in my regular everyday use, I rarely am going to come into a situation where I need to do that stuff. So let me roll that footage in, and then I'll get to some comparisons and a final conclusion. Get these little feathers as thin as possible. Okay, so now that you've seen the knife in use a little bit, let me, by the way, point out that this knife did just cut a brick and then still maintain a sharp enough edge to go ahead and cut an apple. All right, now I will say this knife has not been reviewed often enough. Nut and Fancy said it didn't fit his philosophy of use. Nick Shabazz, well, it's named Manly, and we all know what Nick says about that, so he wasn't interested in reviewing it either, but I was happy to do so. And so let's go ahead and get to some comparisons. It just so happens for some reason that I have a lot of Chinese comparisons here, and so, I don't know, I guess that's what we're going with. First off, let me compare this to another knife that I actually really like as an EDC. This is the Kaiser T2. Now the steel is going to be better, although it's not going to be markedly better than the CPM 154 that this also comes in. Now I will say the sheath on the Manly Patriot here is quite a bit better than the sheath on the T2. Although I will say when I carry this, I often carry it in pocket. I have carried it, as I say, clipped on my belt a couple of times, and it's workable. It's just not ideal. Another great knife, and honestly, guys, when I just have to say, this is one of my favorite fixed blades for EDC. This is the Rake F815. I think the last time I reviewed a Rake fixed blade, I called it the P818. Oh, I've got it right here, actually. So this is the Rake F15. And this does have a plastic sheath rather than Kydex, but honestly, this carries so well. I mean, this knife just does everything really, really well. It's well balanced, it's a great size, and the sheath is fantastic, and it has that that movable clip that makes it really, really good. Since we've got the Rake knives out, let's bring in the what is this? The F118. So the other one was the 115. Here's the 118. You can see this is a little bit bigger. The handle real estate, though, notice, is actually less. All right, so if you have really big hands, you may actually prefer the Manly, and that extra bit of real estate is highly, highly useful because it gives you that ability to move to an appropriate position for whatever it is you happen to be doing. What else have I got? Oh yeah, I did have the Idaho Hunter in here. So here's the Tops Idaho Hunter, one of my favorite outdoor fixed blades. Obviously, it's quite a bit bigger, but honestly, you know, this is going to beat the Manly in toughness. If you're going to be pounding on your knife and prying things and batoning and stuff, yeah, I would take this one a little bit over this one. But if, again, you're like me and you normally take some other cutting tools like a saw and a hatchet, then some of that extra weight and toughness is not quite as needed because you'll be using your other tools for those kinds of things. And finally, here's one other knife. Here is the Real Steel. This is an Ostap Hell design, and I can't remember the name of it. Apologize for that. Someone mentioned it down below if you wouldn't mind, or maybe I'll think to do that when I put it in the description. So there's some comparisons for you. If you haven't caught on by this point, yeah, I wanted to have some fun with this video for sure, because I just think that name Manly is too much, but I have to tell you, I really, really like this knife. It's versatile. The size is nearly perfect. It'll do all kinds of things, whether it be sort of more indoor type of use, everyday carry type of use, or even outdoor survival use. It's really, really well-rounded. Carries really easily. The sheath is highly functional, and as I say, the only downside to this sheath is it's got the closed clip, which means you're going to have to wear it with a belt. And I have done this a few times, and it works pretty well. I've just taken this off completely and carried this in my front right pocket, and it works fine in that configuration. So, yeah, do I like this knife? I absolutely do. This is a huge win. The value on this is fantastic. And so, yeah, just an all-around great knife. Highly, highly recommended, and really a nice size for, to me anyway, a nice size for an EDC fixed blade. I find most EDC fixed blades are just a little too small for me, and I get that they're trying to be compact and to carry easily, but they usually don't do a good job with the way they attach to your belt or your person anyway, so they don't carry that easily. This actually does a really nice job and is a really, really great size and a good value to boot. So there you go, guys. I really like this knife. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Huge thank you to Manly for sending this along for review. And, you know, this is a great tool, and I carry it an awful lot, so it also benefits me that way. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.